Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Wings of Kani, episode 4, Trooper.
Feeling it too hard is the poison to the heart of a cynic.
We see a asteroid in the orbit over Kani, a lush green and blue world full of life. On the asteroid is a dark and cold space station built by the Kita, their home in this void of space, New Tauros. Attached to this space station, we see a Imperial Star Destroyer. Zooming in to the residential stacks of this space station, Kita moving all about, and suddenly in the square, the two main residential buildings come together over a common square where the first vestiges of the Keaton resistance, those many decades ago against Takani rule, were fostered. In this square, we see lines of stormtroopers and Keaton security personnel meet. And in the middle, we see Viceroy Dosh, the leader of the Keaton city of New Tauros, shaking hands with Admiral Baz, the Imperial commander of that Star Destroyer. We cut to deeper within this space station, in the lower stacks where none of the starlight from the outside world shines through. We see Rej, 3 years ago, ducked behind a container as a Imperial stormtrooper detachment burst into a building down the street. Clutches to his holstered pistol as Keaton are dragged from the basement into the street, put into handcuffs, rounded up into the Imperial speeder, and sent away. The captain of the stormtroopers looks down the road as he catches the eye of Rej looking over this container and yells, "You! Stop there!" Before he can finish the sentence, Rej is gone.
For millennia, the Takani lived in peace, in communion with their homeworld of Kani. The Galactic Civil War forced the Takani to leave their home. Together with the Kida and the 11 synthetic Venko, the denizens of Kani and their fleet gather unlikely allies in their search for a new home.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. My name is Devin, and the boy's dangerous.
Hey everyone, Dan here, playing Zeta, the Spacewalker.
Hey guys, John here. I am playing Rej, the Gearhead, and S3, the Astromech.
Beep up.
And this is Drake, and I'm playing San Tavara, the counselor who uses the Force.
This is Josh, and I'll be standing in as Captain Buster Rhymes.
We start where we ended last time. Explosions in the distance, TIE bombers blowing a hole in the asteroid field, allowing entry for the medium strike class cruiser Guillotine as it begins its foray into the dense field of rocks and asteroids. The towing craft aboard Space Station Renewal is ready to be jettisoned. There are escape pods rigged with false distress beacons. The wandering star is being prepared to dock on a mining structure on one of these larger asteroids, hundreds and thousands of kilometers away. As the minutes go by, they're only marked by the explosions, the only passing of time is the slow crawl of this huge spacecraft as it perilously enters uncharted territory.
Rhymes finishes his loadout and buddy checks with the only other one Marine that's there. And he walks over, he turns to the rest of the Imperials. He says, listen up. Watch out for each other in there. And remember, people we're going against, they're adversaries today, and if this goes well, they'll be your crewmates again tomorrow. Stun when you can. No kill shots, unless there's no other chance. Be smart. Listen to the commander. Listen to me. We'll get through this. As they start to board the craft, Rhymes grabs the other Marine and kind of holds him back as the commander goes on. Jensen, your ass stays right with the commander everywhere she goes. Any shots come in their direction, you put yourself in the way. The only way this thing comes off all right is without Yorick and with Karn.
Understood, sir.
You understand?
I understand,
Can
sir.
you get it done?
Yes, sir.
Good, because if not, I'm throwing your ass right out the airlock.
I'll get it done, sir.
And then I'll pull you back in, I'll throw you out again.
I get it, sir. Gives you a little smile. He'll follow Karn right away. How does this look? The move.
Rij is actually in a suit with Zeta on the exterior of this tow ship. We push off into the black, and he looks out. He says to Zeta, the stars are calling. Do you hear him, Zeta?
It is peaceful here, but not for long.
No. I'm going to aim these all 3 different ways. Hopefully they don't hit an asteroid on the way out. But it's going to be by eye.
It will suffice. The signal relay can bounce through any of the 3.
Guidance, this is Dagger.
We read.
As soon as we pass out the station shield, we're dead comms, dead on everything. All we have to rely on is that beacon pointing back. Get to the point we talked about. We'll follow it in.
Understood.
Dagger out.
San is piloting the dagger because, main characters pilot
course.
things even when they're not the most the best pilots.
You've turned off your targeting computer.
I imagine that the cockpit of this thing looks almost like one of those tiny submarines where it's like a couple portholes on either side.
I hope it's not the one that they took down to the fucking
He has a little controller.
Like a couple joysticks,
Yeah.
And he taps his comm and comms Zeta. Says, I see the beacon. We're following. Still under normal impulse. As soon as we clear that larger asteroid, I'm turning off the generator, though. We won't be able to communicate. At least not this way. But remember, trust in your feelings.
Zeta, you don't hear anything for a second, and then he comes over the radio, and he says, it is likely I will trust in the logistics of this mission, but I understand your sentiment.
Rhymes comes up from the back. He's standing over your shoulder as that happens. He goes, he's full of personality, that one.
He's only a year old.
He makes the haulers look absolutely cheery. You have a good read on that beacon?
I can see it. I point out the hole.
All right. Good. Just get us there. You have a little forgiveness. Either side of that double compartment we hit, we'll be able to cut in fine. But if you miss either side of that ring, we're cutting in, we're going to activate alarms.
I want to roll.
No.
Yes.
I want to rock!
Give me one.
Give me.
I want to roll. I mean,
We're just going to narrate our way to success.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'll have the Blades in the Dark engagement roll. I think you guys have a pretty solid plan. Who has the highest Kani?
I have a 2.
I have a 3.
I don't have candy.
Bumped it up to a 0.
John, Rij, give me a Kani roll, and this is going to determine the effectiveness of those pods and their false
Yep, makes sense.
signal. Zeta, give me a Kani, and this is going to be your ability to essentially target the guillotine with a hunk of metal.
Okay.
I'm going to mark experience.
Okay.
Rij is doing this by eye. The impulse turns off on the tug, and he feels the jolt as the power kind of the speed kind of reduces a little bit. It was accelerating, and now it's no longer really accelerating and drifting forward.
You hear the psst, 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 those pneumatic stabilizers.
He pushes off the first cargo, the first escape pod, and just tries to line it through a couple asteroids. Hits a couple buttons on the side, and the impulse light lights up on the back, and it starts to move forward, accelerates faster and faster as one asteroid he didn't see that was hidden behind one of the larger ones comes barreling forward as it smacks straight into the side of this escape pod. Not being deterred, his second one, he lines up different direction, kind of at like a 30-degree angle away from the ship, lights it up, sends it off. You see it streak through the asteroid field and get picked up by a TIE fighter quickly and destroyed. The last one.
You hear on your radio, Rij, your aim is suboptimal.
I know. I don't have much. It's line of sight. One more to go. He lines this one basically opposite direction of the last one, hoping that both of the TIE fighters went for that single ship. Lights it up. You see the engine's power on. The glow, it starts to lurch forward, and then the power cuts as it drifts forward slowly out of the asteroid field. And it's quickly picked off.
The yellow flares of the TIE bombers of their ordnance does not cease. You see those two TIE fighters now are a little bit more active in their patrol.
Gonna need to improvise.
We're still on comms, right?
Yep.
Okay. I say we're about to go dark.
Shall we request that Caldo make an appearance?
Yeah, we're gonna need the Wandering Star.
Your ship is powered down.
If we don't get a distraction.
I close my eyes and focus on Caldo, on that Mon Calamari sitting in his dark ship. And I'm going to try to reach out to him with the Force.
Okay.
And just let him know that we need him.
Okay. Plus deep.
8.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're not going to get a signal to him. This asteroid field.
We cut to Caldo. From behind him.
S3 is like sitting next to him.
Yeah, I thought. Through his viewport, you can see just these blue lights that just sort of flare quickly and then are extinguished.
He's like, his head is twirling back and forth like nervously.
I don't want to like sitting here either, knowing that they're out there. All right, S3, get me as much as you can to the shields. I want power output 20%.
His little arm comes down and interfaces with those little spinny disc things, and you hear the hum of the backup jet, backup power being diverted.
We're going to take it in slow. We're going to go for the bombers, scare them off, draw the ties. We're going to go planet side of the asteroid field. Once we're out, gun it. And you see the Wandering Star come to life. You guys are out in the black. Comms go dark. That large asteroid has passed by now. You're just waiting, watching these two TIE fighters, watching these explosions just sort of in the distance. And then this blue streak just cruises above you. You see it disappear behind an asteroid for a moment. Those explosions stop. You see more blue flares coming from the boosters on the bombers in streaks of blaster cannons. The bombers scatter, they dip, They disappear behind the guillotine, and those two TIE fighters quickly get into formation, start chasing. The wandering star banks hard around another asteroid, and you see those sublight engines kick up, and those blue burners turn into these lines of fuel ejection as the wandering star hits its engines. Now's your time.
Does the guillotine change course at all?
No.
Okay.
It maybe seems to slow a bit once the bombers break off, but its engines, its momentum is still carrying it forward.
Ryan looks out the window, looks down, grabs something out of a belt pouch. It's like a square tin, pulls out a little chunk of this black tar-looking stuff, sticks it in his gums, holds it out to Jensen, who takes a wad.
Much bigger than he should.
Banthan stim gum?
No, thank you. It's going to get cold in here, Captain.
Yeah. Keeps you on your toes.
My master once went 2 days on a ship with no life support. No air. No heat. Nothing. I still don't understand how she did it.
I was on a destroyer that got blown up. Last battle with the Separatists. We lost life support. We had these survival cocoons. Meant for one each. Squeezed 2 Marines in each one. Air got pretty stale. Recyclers worked. A little friction. Whatever it takes. You get through it. He smiles and you see like the black tar in his waist.
Not gay if you're underway.
In the Navy.
The tow vessel.
I rolled a 11.
Ooh.
Excuse me.
At least somebody's
A
on the
12.
At least somebody's on the ball.
A 12.
From the perspective and the point of view, you look like you're way in front of this thing. But as the guillotine just inches forward from our perspective, we see that tow craft. The camera sort of moves forward and pans, and we see that it's on a direct course. You're actually going to pull up next to an asteroid that's sort of drifting. We see one of those towers, one of those relay towers, and that blinking light as these tow cables shoot out. You latch them on and start drifting just for a moment with the asteroid. It's as if it's 2 dead rocks in space. And this thing, immense spacecraft, is just moving, nothing between you and it.
Zeta kind of coils again up against the craft and launches himself out into the void.
Give me plus deep. Trust your feelings, unless you have another ability that you
That works.
think is applicable.
Rolled a 2 and a 1.
Wow.
Mark
But you have a
experience.
+5, right?
Yeah. That gets me to a 5.
You all, through the viewport of the craft, see that you are in perfect position. You see this black shape. It's only visible because of the gray background of the guillotine. You see this thing drift and drift and drift and drift. And the bridge module, that little top piece, so small atop this cruiser. You see this black shape just touch down. You miss the access point, and you have landed at the apex of that bridge module.
How far away is my access point?
Half a kilometer.
Ships aren't small.
Nope. Based on a quick assessment, I don't know if that requires a roll. Is it possible that I can make it to that point by climbing along the ship's surface?
If you hurry.
he starts scrambling along the surface.
Give me an assess. You did say assessment.
I did.
You said the A word.
Ooh. 9.
Hold 1.
So Devin, I'm trying to imagine this. So we're basically using Zeta as a beacon, right? Like
Yes.
he's got some sort of like light source on him
Like
or something.
Like a targeting laser almost.
Yeah. So from our perspective, we see it moving sort of erratically.
Sure. Yeah. Not where the place you plan for it to be.
I'd say, where can I gain the most advantage?
You look down, you sort of scamper on all fours across the top of this pod. You look down the back and you see there are manual handholds, as well as what looks like one of these ports, one of these airlock ports that may tie directly into the turbolift maintenance tunnels. It's a little bit higher up, definitely visible if a larger craft were to come and dock with it, but it is closer. You could also continue down towards that neck of the pod, and that would be the spot that you had planned on. It really depends on Caldo and how long he's able to keep the attention of those TIE fighters.
Okay. I think based off of Zeta's thoughts, he probably guesses that if we were to cut through the hull on the turbo lift side, it might trigger an alarm that there is a hull breach. Whereas before the other area where we're going into the maintenance, that doesn't have life support, that doesn't have gravity. So it's more likely that we would be undetected there. So he's going to put his faith in Caldo and S3, and he's going to launch himself past that access point.
Okay. It takes some time, and you get down there. You actually see one of those turbo lasers on the 4 section start coiling up and aiming out through the asteroid field, where you can look over and see those green streaks from the TIE fighters as Caldo is essentially dipping into and out of the asteroid field, keeping their attention. The bombers are nowhere to be seen.
Okay. The last we saw of them, they dipped around
disappeared behind the guillotine.
Okay. Zeta kind of scrambles and at times pushes off and almost free falls down the side of this to his access point, trying his best to get there as quickly as possible. He glances out into the black. Can he spot the...
Only because he lives in this type of atmosphere. To the untrained eye, you would easily miss the tow vessel.
Looking at it, does he think he can make it?
Jumping back?
No. Sorry. That he will arrive on time to where the tow vessel is. Is it drifting in space right now, or is it stationary?
It is attached to one of these asteroids that is sort of drifting on its own, and they're anchored to it.
All right. He will, he'll continue scrambling until he gets to the point, and then maglock the targeting laser onto the side and activate it.
Okay. You see it. Red light just sort of refracting off of the steel.
Disengaging tow cables.
Cutting it pretty close.
Start spinning valves to get these like old school fucking propulsion system going.
As we get closer, there's a cutter power supply maglock to the outside of the ship where Rij is kind of held on. Get closer to the side of the ship, and then Rij jumps off with the cutter tool towards Zeta.
Zeta gives a few hand signals and traces a line on the side of the hull.
Seals on. We're taking a stroll.
Shortly before the tow gets there, you see the bright light of a laser cutter start cutting as Rij starts cutting the access point.
All the ex-Imperial Navy are strapping up their vac suits. You hear the clicking of the helmet seals.
Don't forget your buddy checks. Check each other. We're going out.
Everyone's patting each other down. They all look to you. They all give a thumbs up.
See you on the bridge. Rhymes pushes out the opening. Or hits the button on the side. It opens.
There's some slight decompression, but by the time you open the door, the entire cabin has been evacuated of air, of atmosphere. And now you look out into space. Below you, you see Zeta and Rij affixed to the hull, the hole in the side.
Zeta lightly pushes off, and he's got a cable that's maglocked onto the hull and drifts forward across space over to the tow ship, and then locks the other side of the cable inside the bay as a pull line across.
It actually pulls and becomes taut.
Clips on and throws himself from like the side of the opening forward.
You see a lot of young faces sort of steel themselves, and they do the same. They'll clip on and head out.
Durasteel plate, glowing hot, floats up off of the panel as the first couple guys hit the side of the ship.
We follow that panel. We focus on it. Everything else behind it is blurred. We just see still those green streaks following a ray of blue. We cut to the inside of a dark airlock. We see a big, heavy door on one side, another big, heavy door on the other side, and 12 individuals all standing in this dark place. And we see Karn just look to one of the doors and point to it and looks at Rij.
Rij nods, drags his cutter power supply over and starts cutting into the side of this airlock.
Karn draws her blaster.
Rhymes clicks on the light on the bottom of his blaster rifle.
The compartment opens. Compression in the chamber. And you see you're at the sort of meeting place of a U-shaped hallway. About 15, 20 meters down either hallway meets up with another central area where the turbo lift is. That wall space in between is where the maintenance shaft is. It is an Imperial ship, so everything is that nice, sleek metal. You'd have to find a seam, cut into it. You think that might be your best way in.
Reese heads over to a seam, kind of feels along the wall, and then finds a seam between two panels and starts cutting open, trying to find that interior maintenance. Sparks of the plasma sparks start coming off of his cutter. He's just cutting into this seam of this wall.
Anyone who looks down past, there's the turbo lift, and then beyond that is where that throughway starts. It goes down, and you can see far ahead. You see lights where it starts to spider off into other parts of the ship. This is where pretty much anyone from the ship can get to and from, and then drop down levels to get to other stations, other decks.
Is it trafficked, or is it generally as we discussed earlier, are we still in that sort of more abandoned section?
Give me an assess.
Sure. 9.
Hold the question. You just hear one of those little mouse droids, the size of a shoebox. You're in, let's say, the right side of this hallway, and you hear it beginning to loop around on the opposite side of the hallway, the turbo lift. So it will come around. It will come around this turn, and it will find you.
Do I think that I can access it before it sees us?
You'd have to see it. You'd have to have a direct line of sight to it.
I turn to Captain Rhymes. Captain Rhymes, there is a maintenance droid on a patrol loop. It will be here in approximately 2 minutes.
We got to get it to the maintenance chutes. Let's hustle. Which way is it coming from? Aft?
Correct.
Think we can make it. If not, we'll disable it.
Very well. Continue.
Everyone seems nervous. Give me an act under pressure.
Yep.
Rij.
Oh, I don't have my droid, so I can't use I can't use my Kani.
Give me an uncool act under pressure.
It's very uncool.
His butt crack is showing, Wallace.
7.
Okay. The droid shows up. As you cut through, you see behind it there's an empty space, and you see manual pull switches that will essentially the back of panels. And as you see those, you just give a "I'm in," and then that droid swings around the hallway.
Captain Rhymes, the droid is here.
Rhymes
It starts spinning around in a circle and going the other way.
Rhymes pulls a vibro sword
Okay.
strapped on his back and smashes it down on this thing.
All right, go.
Josh is living out a fantasy right now.
He fucking hates droids. Go in blazing. Give me plus rugged.
11.
Yeah, you stride a couple of steps and just plunge this vibro blade into the top of it, and it just hisses.
Can I? So for the effects, obviously,
Yeah.
and I can choose 3 because of my elite trooper.
Okay.
Inflict double harm, destroy this thing. Expose or create a weakness. I don't want it to be able to communicate.
Okay.
And take something from your opposition.
Okay.
I reach down and I grab its interface, its little probe arm, and I throw it to Zeta.
Okay.
I've seen you guys work. Is Zeta or Reg the one that interacts with tech more? Reg.
Tech for Zeta, but mechanical stuff?
Mechanical.
Reach.
Okay.
Yeah.
He throws it to Reg, right? Because I saw you working on the ships and everything. So it's like what would plug into to control access points and shit.
I can get to the maintenance shaft. He grabs a lever, pulls it down. You throw that thing to him. It grabs it out of the air. Handy. And the panel opens for the maintenance shaft.
Yep. Rhymes. These droids, these particular ones don't have any sort of radio signaling, but there are checkpoints throughout the ship that as it passes, it will disperse information back into the central command. So you feel confident that this was done quietly.
If this goes on long enough, they'll get a low level alert. This thing didn't check in. We have some time, but we need to move.
The panel opens to this back, behind the wall maintenance shaft.
There's a flash of movement as a turbo lift rises up towards the bridge.
It's the right shaft.
Hope you like climbing. All right, we're going up.
Reg hangs the little droid arm off of his belt and tucks the cutter and all that inside the wall, and then we start climbing.
You start climbing. Give me the order. Who climbs up? Who climbs up in what order?
Rhymes will go first for the Imperials unless any of these guys go ahead of him.
Reg will let Rhymes go first, and then Reg will be right behind him with the little droid arm.
The Marines will follow Rhymes.
Sees Jensen on him, and he fucking gives him a death stare and looks back at the commander.
He stops and nods.
San is close to to Commander Karn, so whenever order she's going in, he's probably right before her.
You and Jensen are probably flanking her.
Yeah, and Jensen right after her.
Zeta's last.
Close the hatch, Zeta.
Understood.
Before we go into, we grab the scraps of the droid and just drop them down the shaft.
Okay.
Clunk, 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 clink.
So it's Rhymes, Imperial Navy personnel, San, then Karn, then Jensen, then Zeta, and then a couple of the other non-military personnel.
Reg is behind Rhymes.
Oh, Reg is behind Rhymes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when we get to whatever panel we need to open, Reg can be right there.
Okay. You are tucked in. So there's this maintenance shaft, and then there's just there's an opening into the actual turbo lift shaft. This maintenance shaft is very small. Really, you only have space to climb
One
up.
at a time.
Yep. Zeta, you have a little bit of trouble. Your form is a little bit, wider, but
Longer.
longer. Yeah, you're able to get up. And that turbo lift comes down. And this area is dark. You eventually climb up and you look into the turbo lift shaft. And then there's a door. It's a turbo lift door with red bars of light around it.
I think this is the bridge.
Rhymes, assume when we get to a point, there's handholds that kind of go along horizontally. So he starts beckoning the rest of the crew, the minions, to push out to the sides, basically try to get everybody up close to the door. So once it's open, everybody can get through kind of quick.
Okay. Yeah, they're all sort of suspended in the shaft, the main turbo lift shaft. And how are you going to get in?
So the doors there, are they across an empty void, basically?
Yes.
There's an empty shaft.
Yep.
The doors.
You'll have to
doors,
leave
basically.
the maintenance shaft into the main shaft, and across the empty space
and hope the turbo
door.
lift doesn't come and crush us.
That's the hope.
Rij looks down the turbo lift shaft. Does he see it?
You do. It's at rest at the bottom. You just see a couple of yellow lights that ring it.
Zeta, can you maybe keep that thing down there while I'm over trying to open that door?
I will need access to a wireless connection.
What about this? He grabs the droid arm. There might be an interface around here.
There is.
There is a port available. I will try.
He throws it to you.
He catches it pretty calmly.
Does he? Or does it tumble down the shaft?
100%.
100% catch.
Under pressure.
That's easy catch.
Yeah, why not?
Give me an act under pressure. This is also you trying to do this quietly.
Yeah.
The door on the other side presumably leads to the bridge.
7. Barely. It's not quiet.
You catch it and you insert it, and there's this whizzing, whirring sound as a lock engages in the turbo lift shaft.
Currently, the lift...
Yeah, I heard the lock, Zeta. We all heard the lock. And Ree starts to climb across. Imagine a more handholds and a climbing bar that can kind of circle this area for maintenance.
There's tubing and piping. There's this lattice work of thin black scaffolding almost.
Ree's is going to head to the lift doors and try to either pry them open, or if there's a maintenance pad that would get covered by the turbo lift, but is used for maintenance, maybe.
Yeah, there's one on the outside of the door.
Okay. He punches it open. It hangs down, and he starts fiddling with wires to see if he can short that door to open.
Okay.
I'll use the technical savant.
Okay.
Hey, I rolled more than 6. 9.
Okay. What do you get on a 9?
I'm gonna use my edge point.
Cool.
We installed it.
Nice. Find a way in, out, through. Describe it.
Basically, one of the main things that the Kita did, there was a shipyard outside of the Kani, that was Kita built many of these modular late edition ships to the Imperial fleet, and the lock mechanism, the jumper cables are all too familiar to him. He's put hundreds of these in ships before.
A subtle weakness.
He pulls a few jumpers, cuts a cable, ties it into another, and the door turns green around the edge and starts to slide open. And he waves his hand. He gets back up against the door, or up against the wall, and then signals to Rhymes.
Rhymes is already swinging through.
That door opens, and you see walking down a hallway 2 individuals in the signature black armor of Imperial bomber pilots. And as you swing through and your feet land in that hallway, they turn around.
Okay.
Roll initiative.
Roll for initiative. And a soak roll.
And a soak roll. How do we?
I roll my d20.
Is this like you just make them up? So who goes
Make 'em up,
first?
Yeah.
You have the jump. You act first.
Just narrate yourself to a win.
Rij got you through. Make it cool.
Okay. I am going to use one of my trooper moves,
1,000 voices crying out and then all at once being silenced.
commanding presence. When you apply leverage with physical threats or intimidation, roll plus rugged instead of plus suave.
Cool.
He just levels his blaster rifle at him and goes, "Hands up, boys. We're taking back this ship. Thanks for joining us."
Roll it.
That's a 12.
Okay. At quick look at them, they are not armed. They don't have blasters on them. This is, as secure a place as they could imagine. And from all you understand, they just got here. Their hands go up.
Secure him.
Navy personnel swing out behind you. They come out, their blaster pistols raised, and they grab the pilots and restrain them.
Ree swings out into the corridor. Which way to the command room?
Dead ahead,
Rhymes
Karn says.
points forward, waits for Karn to come into the hallway.
San, Karn, Jensen right behind her, and then Zeta. The rest of the personnel will take custody of the non-military personnel, will take custody of the pilots, and you are rejoined by the naval officers.
When everyone starts to kind of go forward, and I stop at the pilots, and I look at one of them and I say, "Who else came with you? Who was on board the transport?"
Looks at you, sort of cocks his head a little bit, just that blank stare of the black mask. 2 squads of stormtroopers, 2 bombers, and a Wayfarer class freighter.
Thank you. We've got company.
Rhymes looks to the rest of the Imperials and says, "Hold this hallway, secure them. Anyone comes up that shaft, get the jump on them, secure them. Stun only. You see white, put it down. To kill."
They all look at each other.
Reese kind of bounds by and says, "No complaints from me." Pulls his blaster pistol out and kind of heads down cover to cover down this hallway.
Dead ahead, you see the large pentagonal doorway that leads to the bridge. Zeta, that turbo lift is locked. You feel like it would have to be manually unlocked, but any one of those maintenance mouse droids could do it. For now, you still have the element of surprise. They may not have even noticed that the turbo lift is disabled.
Would leaving the arm in the data port do anything, or would it be best to bring it with me?
Leaving it in wouldn't do anything.
Okay.
Any new
Just the tip?
Just the
Just the
tip.
Just the tip.
any new maintenance order would supersede a previous one.
Okay. He pulls the arm out and swings up the last 4 or 5 rungs of the ladder and into the hallway.
Okay. Now everyone's in. That door is ahead of you.
Are there other turbo lifts?
No, this is the main one
Okay.
to the bridge.
So we've got a good amount of time before they, yeah.
You think so?
I say, this should buy us time. Now we only have to deal with 2 squads of stormtroopers.
I doubt they'll both be on the bridge. Maybe one here. One would be preparing for boarding action. If we're lucky, none of them.
Let's hope we're lucky. Reese gets to that doorway and nods over to Zeta.
When leaders see their power beginning to slip, they surround themselves with authority. He'll have them on the bridge with him.
Zeta kind of passes through everyone as he winds his way up to the door and places his hand on the control panel, closes his eyes, and he's going to use one of his moves, Black Hat, and going to try to access the system.
I'd ask the same of all of you. We need these crew. We don't need the stormtroopers.
Very well.
An 8. On a 7 to 9, you're in, but personnel or electronic defenses are inbound.
Perfect.
Great.
Through the other side of the door, there's a ping. Boom. In that door. slowly starts to slide open. As it's open enough, just enough for you to see, red blaster bolts start coming through. You duck into cover quickly. Everyone in the hallway has hit the side. Those doors are opening up. You don't have a lot of clearance once those doors are fully open. You see white.
Blast him.
Are we in combat?
We are in combat. The bold may act first.
As the guest, I don't want to keep
Not it.
stepping in toes.
not
but
it.
Reese reaches around that. He's like up at the panel, basically. And the doors are sliding open and kind of is walking with that cover, pulls around and takes a couple shots into the room.
Go in blazing. Well, not going in, you are blazing.
I am blazing. 420.
Sounded.
8.
Okay, choose one.
I'm gonna suffer. I'm already hurt, so I'm gonna suffer a little harm in return. Did I? Sorry.
It's been a few days.
Yeah. Did I? That 2 vitality I already had.
Yes, yep,
Healed
all
that?
of your vitality has been healed up.
Okay. I will still suffer a little harm instead, and I'll do 2 harm with my blaster.
Okay. You take 2 harm.
Okay. Oh God.
There's just as those shots come out, just a volley of
Dear Lord.
these blaster bolts are coming at you. They're striking the door. One misses you. Just it hits like the edge of the door and just deflected by that much and just right past your field of view.
Yeah. The 2 vitality is he basically takes shots in. It blasts this spark of light off of the door, and he goes tumbling backwards into the wall.
You do see a stormtrooper hit the deck.
So, Devin, it seems like they were kind of prepared for us. Like that door opened and they started blasting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rhymes strides into the opening and just starts unloading. I'm going to stand in defense of a person, place, or thing. The thing being this intersection. What I want to do is basically buy time for people to get out and get cover ahead on either side.
Okay.
Because I think as you're describing it, as this opens fully, the hallway's going to be very exposed.
Yes.
But I'm assuming the bridge, there's all sorts of shit around, so if people can get
In and around.
in, they can get some cover.
Yeah, the bridge is sort of hexagonal, where you're at a sort of a corner of it, and it goes out to your left and right, straight ahead for a little bit, and then is rounded at the far end with the big viewport out front. And there are consoles along just to your left and right, where it looks like people have already started taking cover. It looks like naval personnel.
On the back side of them, right?
And just people that were on consoles close to you that you
Okay.
see have just hit the deck. They're non-combatants.
All right. Well, that's basically what he's doing. He's trying to buy time for people to get in. So
Okay. I mean, that's stand in defense. Is that a rugged as well?
that is a rugged. That's a 9.
Okay.
Choose 1 normally, but with Elite Trooper, choose 2. So I am going to. You see what you're defending to safety, and your efforts inspire or frighten others.
Okay.
So I'm not going to choose to inflict harm or lessen harm on myself.
Okay. You see stormtroopers actually also begin to take cover. You see a man.
I've never seen that before.
Stormtrooper take
They're
cover.
elite. They're actually elite.
You also see a man, thin man, bald, and he's in a regal military uniform, Imperial Navy, medals across his chest. He actually, it seems to be frantically looking for something for a moment, and then dips behind sort of a center console in the center of the room. A couple of others that were standing with him duck off to the side. It looks like drawing blaster pistols, all of them.
How many quick assessment? How many stormtroopers and other combatants do we?
Give me an assess.
That's cool, right?
Kani.
7.
Okay. I'll tell you this for free, and then you can give me a question. There were 6 stormtroopers. There are now 5. There are 2 other stormtroopers that have those insignia, this sort of a marking, like a patch or a different color on their shoulder armor that signify them as lieutenants. You recognize Yorick right away, and 2 of his new security personnel.
Okay. 5 stormtroopers, you're 2 security personnel. Where can I gain the most advantage?
If you get rid of those stormtroopers, Yorick and 2 security personnel stand no chance against you.
Okay. So that's one. So Rhymes kind of just strides right into the center, and he's just basically laying down, suppressing fire, kind of crouched, but not really taking cover, but trying to allow people to filter out to the sides.
The rest of you notice that the incoming blaster fire has lessened dramatically. You have a moment to enter.
Do I take harm?
Not yet, but you are primary target. Karn actually dashes in.
Jensen better be fucking right on her.
Jensen's right there, and actually the rest of the naval officers are there as well. You, as soon as you step out and start blasting, they are right behind you, and your blaster fire. Now behind you comes another volley of blaster fire from your
Get to cover, you idiots!
And they're sliding out across the room, beginning to try and take it.
Yeah, Rij runs in and then waves at Zeta and San to get in.
Zeta, it's loud in here.
Zeta hesitates.
Zeta, get in here.
San is staying close to Karn, so when Karn goes in, San is right there next to her.
Okay. So let's say we have Karn, Jensen, and San on the right side. We have other armed personnel on the left side. We have Rhymes in the middle, and Rij entering, but you're reaching in as well.
Yep.
And maybe a few of them stayed back with the pilots by the turbo left, right?
Those are the non-military
Okay.
personnel that you had with you.
I think Zeta freezes.
Okay.
This is probably the first real firefight he's been in, as opposed to the one that we had earlier with the droids. I think he is afraid. And the volume of noise and kind of cacophony that's coming out of that room, he just freezes for a moment, tucked in tight to the wall on the far side of the door.
Rij says, if you're not going to help in here, how about there? Stop that turbo lift, and then closes the blast door to the bridge.
You hear that lock beginning to be disengaged.
Zeta reaches for the control panel.
Okay.
Cut back to everyone else.
In the room, stormtroopers now are popping up and taking shots.
San went in behind Karn, kind of got some cover behind one of those control panels, and then he stands up and he reaches out towards one of those stormtroopers with the orange patch.
Yep.
And you just see the glass on the visor of his helmet start to crack and spiderweb as he reaches out with the force. Basically, what I'm trying to do is like crush this guy's helmet.
Okay.
My goal isn't necessarily to
stuff.
do damage. I'm kind of trying to like make him
Distracted or-
just like unable to like communicate.
See, sure.
Or like if he's the commander, I don't want him to be able to give orders.
Okay. Give me, you roll me, use the force.
We'll see how much you crack.
10.
You do what you want to do. You hear this metallic yell. The visor cracks. You see that front, that sort of breathing apparatus bottom part where the mouth is. You see it crack, and the trooper actually takes one hand, is trying to remove the helmet and can't, and then doubles over into cover. We'll say for now you have you've disabled one of the lieutenants.
I guess Rhymes is going to use his edge here. Seems like the time to do it.
Yeah.
Squad up.
Squad up.
Go in blazing as if you rolled a 12 plus with advancement.
Okay. You give a command, and all of the armed Navy personnel, Jensen and Karn included, all pop up at once. You call out a location. They spin around. There's a couple of stormtroopers that are moving from one console deeper back into the room, and they take it up and they gun them down. How much harm do you do?
I was actually, if any of the stormtroopers are close,
Okay.
Getting close.
he goes for the vibro sword.
Oh God. Okay.
And if there's any of the ranking stormtroopers, he's going to go
There's one that is defenseless right now.
because his helmet's been cracked.
Yes.
He goes to a kill shot to the right under that little black padding in the neck area.
Yep.
Where he's kind of got his neck up because he's trying to pull his helmet off. So his like neck is wide open.
So he goes. That's 3 harm, and the 4 effects he gets with advancement: inflict terrible harm, suffer little harm in return, expose or create a weakness, and take something from your opposition. So what I want to take is their tactical position,
Okay.
like their covered position, push them back from where they were set up.
You saw those two stormtroopers moving towards the back. You come out with the vibro sword. You take down the lieutenant. He goes down. And then on the opposite side of the room, the other stormtroopers dash back to regroup with the others. You've taken now, there's that center console area, and Karn actually goes towards that center console, and she jumps on Yorick and begins trying to subdue him. Oof. The other lieutenant stands up and takes aim at Karn and is hesitating for a moment, but it looks like this elite stormtrooper is lining up a shot against Karn. Jensen runs up. Give me act under pressure or stand in defense on Jensen's behalf.
For Jensen.
Stand defense 8, I say, as a +2 rugged, maybe?
Sure.
So 10.
Okay. So he gets hit.
Take harm.
Yep. It looks like he does have a little bit of armor. Some of that suit sort of burns away, but the armor underneath. But he and goes to try. He's trying to grab Karn off of Yorick, and Karn is trying to pull Yorick. Jensen's trying to move Karn into cover.
Reej pops up behind the console and takes an aim at that officer and shoots. Now that he's focused on Karn.
Going blazing.
Yep.
Well, that's not what we're supposed to say what we're doing, and then he tells us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
8. So I will do 2 harm. I'll suffer terror. No, I'll inflict suffer terror harm. I'll inflict terrible harm. So I'll take the full brunt.
You take 2.
Okay. I take a wound.
One of the other stormtroopers stands up and shoots a shot that drops you. You come up, put a couple more quick shots, and then you have this grazing blow across your shoulder as you dip back down into cover.
San was right near that trooper that just tried to attack Karn. He kind of runs right up to him and gets really close so he can almost see through the visor and says, "You don't want to attack fellow Imperials." And I'm going to use the Jedi mind trick.
Okay.
One of these lightsabers coming out.
As I do this, I'm going to look past him at Captain Rhymes. Like, as I make this man defenseless, I look past him to Captain Rhymes.
This is one of the stormtroopers, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the other commander.
Got to roll force?
Yep. Spinning. 7, 9.
I don't want to harm other Imperials. And then he aims this blaster at you.
You got me.
What's going on in the
hallway?
In the hallway.
Zeta still kind of frozen in place, but his hand on the control panel hears the locks coming undone and still does nothing. And listens as the turbo lift rises up to the hallway. Still doesn't do anything. And then as doors open and he sees the first person begin to come through, he's going to use his edge and manipulate a system for a few critical moments, and he's going to slam the doors shut, severing this guy's arm.
Oh my
as it
God.
comes through.
A couple of errant blaster bolts come out.
Sure.
And you just don't move.
Please make a note of that guy because he's going to be a crew member later. The one-armed crew member.
He might be a stormtrooper. Hopefully he's a stormtrooper.
It is another.
It's a small child.
It's
coming to see his dad on the bridge.
Bring your kid to work day on the guillotine.
This your guy isn't so bad.
I feel like Imperials would do that anytime they thought they were going to be boarded. They'd be like, "Bring the children to the bridge."
Give me a roll.
Sure.
Just a fortune, straight up.
I rolled a 10.
Okay. The person who this was another security officer aboard the ship, human. But that arm there's an arm in the hallway.
There you go.
Sorry about the mess.
There were no stormtroopers, but it looked like there was enough blaster fire that you can assume that these are all armed individuals that were coming up the turbo lift. but it is closed for now, and you hear shouting coming from within the turbo lift.
Okay. You can cut back.
We cut back. We see towards the 4 white armor hunkered down. We see a couple of other security individuals. They're popping up. Everyone's taking pot shots at each other. Most of them are hitting consoles, sparks flying, shots flying overhead. We see in the middle of the room, Jensen has actually pulled Karn back into cover, and Yorick is scrambling back, like reverse crab walking on his butt, scuttling back. A couple of those stormtroopers come over and grab him and begin to drag him back into cover.
I'll jump off first on this one because I have a trooper, my trooper advanced move, leave no one behind. So I am going to try to, I see San go over to that other stormtrooper officer, and then the stormtrooper level on him, and he's going to try to interdict
Okay.
that situation.
With that mustache, anything's possible.
Fucking A, I'm growing bones. That's an 11.
Okay.
So on a 10 plus, you get them out clean. But I still may suffer harm.
Okay. San, if you want to, you have a way to...
Basically, I get this guy's attention. I'm not doing harm on
Okay.
him, but I'm getting in the way, grappling him, whatever it is.
I don't want to harm other Imperials. You're a traitor. Spins over to you.
Pops up from cover, and he's going to try to get them to stay, like, catch him in between their movement up. Either get them to take cover in the middle of nowhere, or get them to retreat or hit them.
Okay. Yeah, give me going blazing.
Yeah.
This sounds like one of those options for success are applicable to what you're trying to do.
6.
Mark experience.
Dope.
Another 2 harm.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
You're going to have to make a call.
that would put me down. I'll mark a luck.
Okay.
So,
Oh, we have luck.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Shit, cool.
He pops up and takes some shots. He's been in scrapes before, but this is a pretty big combat for what he's been in. More formal than normal. So he takes some shots from cover, and the stormtroopers immediately see him and start blasting the console he's in front of. And you see the trace of fire kind of lead up towards his head. And as one blaster fire gets shot, the panel gets blown open and catches the bolt as it comes screaming towards his face.
Oh.
And he ducks beneath, and he pulls out a death stick, lights it. They're coming, they're advancing. Rhymes, I already acted.
These stormtroopers are advancing. Actually, 2 of them, the unmarked ones, start moving along the side of the room towards sort of that. We're going to round that angle towards your side of that hexagon, and it looks like any moment they're gonna spin around that corner and have a line of fire against your team.
Over the comms, you hear Zeta in your ear. He says, "Bridge fire suppression system beginning in 3, 2, 1." And these gouts of fire suppressant begin blowing down. Well, actually, I should roll probably, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe not. 8.
They have been changed in the last 6 months. That it is up to Imperial code. It's this mist that once it hits the ground, it starts to expand like foam. Visibility drops to almost nothing in this room. There is still those errant red blaster bolts flying haphazardly. Blast them.
Would that be an interference roll, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool.
Is that like a class move?
The help or interfere is just a move you can do.
But he has the ability to tap into systems.
Slice
computer
into computer systems.
He's a hacker.
That is a... It's weird because you roll plus bonds, but I obviously don't have a bond against the...
Yeah, with another character. I'm just going to say your...
We get a +1 for the...
I mean, it's a
hack
8.
roll you did.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an 8, so either take +1 or a -2 forward, depending on who you're giving it to.
Okay. We'll just say give a +1 forward to
Sure.
your squad.
Yep.
Rhymes, Karn, and the Navy personnel are more familiar with this craft probably than the stormtroopers.
Okay.
So you still have an idea. You know where you are in the room, where the other spots in the room are, where the stormtroopers are just sort of acting the best they can. You don't have a bead on Yorick or the other 2 security personnel right now.
What is Karn doing?
Karn is with Jensen. They are behind cover in the center console in the center of the room. Pretty much the most forward position that your party has right now.
Okay.
Those stormtroopers, if they are to come around, they could look and get a clear shot on Karn, on Jensen, and on 2 more of the Navy personnel.
So I was next to Karn. Can I see those stormtroopers?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to move towards them. And as I'm walking towards them, I hold out my hands and my lightsabers float up and into my hands.
Yes. Feel it flow.
And I say, surrender. These don't have a stun setting.
They pop up and aim up their blasters at you.
All right. I'm going to use a move called Sorisu. Is that how you pronounce it?
Sure.
When you stand in defense of someone or something, roll plus deep.
Oh, no.
This might be a luck scenario. 7. Okay. So I get 1 armor.
Use a luck point?
You could you could get 3 hold if you'd like.
Yeah. I wouldn't be very defensive, would it?
No.
No.
Oh, it's based on fear.
So as they start shooting at me,
Yeah.
I ignite my lightsabers and start deflecting the bolt.
Game Master, what color
color
are
are the
the
lightsabers?
Are these lightsabers?
Wait, this is going to be
How
a
would I
poll
know?
question. This should be a poll question at the beginning. All right, we're gonna
Okay.
we'll have to remember that.
San uses a set of twin lightsabers. They are identical, and they are both red.
Yeah, baby.
And I think I'm gonna actually use a luck point to make that a 12, so I
Yeah.
get 2 armor.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like that's an economical use
Yep.
to have the 2 armor.
Yeah.
3 bolts. The lightsabers come into your hands, and it's like this fan motion. Your left hand comes up, deflects a blaster bolt. Your right hand comes up, deflects a blaster bolt. And then as your right hand crosses in front of your body, another blaster bolt. And this one you reflect right back at the stormtrooper that shot it, and he drops to the ground.
Does Galactic Empire have a Duel of the Fates
Yeah,
cover?
they do.
It's so good.
It's epic. What
Okay.
these lightsabers are is Darth Maul just snapped his thing in half. Gave
Yeah,
it
like
to his
after a bad
apprentice.
round of golf, he
Yeah.
just snaps it.
You have him.
Doesn't it get cut in half?
I think
It
so.
does.
Yeah, it gets cut in half. In the,
Tried to erase it from my memory.
that's the good part. That's
That's
the
a
only
good part. That's true. Fair.
You just hear a lightsaber, and then the stormtrooper retreats back into the foam. The other one was killed by your deflected bolt.
The sound of feces hitting the inside of ceramic armor.
Not great.
You hear this voice, Jedi here?
No!
Kill him!
What do you call it? Jedi.
Those 2 security personnel, they pop up, and they seem to be making their way to a console at the side of the room. One of them covering the other, firing off some suppressing shots towards your consoles. Reese, you feel another bolt just ricochet off of the top of that piece of metal between you and certain death.
Top of the round.
Top of the round.
Rhymes is going to just try to draw fire.
Okay.
Actually, Rhymes is going to try to draw fire and push those personnel back from the console they're trying to move towards. So he's advancing in that direction.
So you can, just stand in defense. It doesn't have to be of a person. If you want to stand in defense of a position, person, place, or thing.
Okay.
If you want to interject yourself,
He sees the fucking lightsabers light up, kind of eyes go wide for a second, but he sees Jensen, the crew over there. One of the stormtroopers goes down, and so he looks at that as the main threat and
Sure.
advances towards it.
a couple of those other Navy personnel are with you. We're with you, Cap.
Fuck fucking Bone City 12.
Okay. You have those. There are 2 personnel that move with you. They fire some suppressing shots at those security personnel.
Very boring. I'm rolling all good.
That's okay. Roll. So you choose 2.
3 with Elite Trooper.
Oh, geez. Wow.
I'm going to inflict harm on the attackers.
Okay.
See what you're defending to safety. I'm going to hold that console.
Yep.
Not allow them to get to it. And your efforts inspire or frighten others. I will try to frighten the remaining loyalists.
Okay. There are a lot of non-combatants here that as you move, they're retreating into the room. The stormtroopers are confused. There's a couple of bolts that actually go towards their own personnel as they move through this stuff. You're able to disable. There is one individual, one of those, one of Yorick's.
I'm shooting at
security.
stun. I switched
Remember,
to
you
stun.
also have +1 4.
Okay. I didn't need it there, but I flick the switch to stun as I advance towards those personnel.
A blue bolt, a good bolt, comes out, and you disable this individual. There was a sort of this little device in their hand. Looks like they were ready to plug into a console, and that blue beam hits them, and you see it travel throughout their body, and they fall down to the ground. The other one ducks back, retreats back to where they came from, and your Marines move up and take over that cover. They secure the loyalist and are now in position. You've now taken over sort of the right side of the room, and you still control that middle part. There are only a couple of stormtroopers left. You hear the sort of yelping and shouting of Yorick still coming from somewhere in the room.
Reese tries to sneak around the left side of this console that he's on, using the cover from the fire suppressant, and try to get the jump on a stormtrooper and take a shot on him. Where if he's looking like he hears the shouts of Jedi, the lightsaber go off, so he's probably distracted.
The Jedi is on the left side. You still see those.
Keep using this J word.
The knight.
The Force user.
Told you he's post Jedi child, post Jedi Order.
Yeah, on the right side is Rhymes taking over this position. San is out on the left. You're able to find a spot right in the middle. A couple of stormtroopers are pulling back, and they right through some of these consoles. You see them.
Have we ever seen San's lightsabers?
No, he's never used them.
I mean, you've seen them on him.
Yeah. Never.
He's never used them though.
You are inspired by Rhymes's boldness of these.
The advance on the other side.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be amazing if they
Take
were
a +1.
if
I
they
was
were
going to say, can I pass my +1 hold that I got from Dan
Sure.
on
Okay.
Yeah.
as part of the Inspire?
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be
Good
great
teamwork.
if the lightsabers were actually fake? They're just like cutting torches.
They were cutting torches all along.
Yep.
They're a hologram.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. Rugged is 9. +1 is 10.
Awesome.
Bango, bango.
He actually sneaks up to the center console. These 2 stormtroopers are facing off against the Force user with lightsabers.
Is there an acronym for that?
The nomenclature. What's the correct nomenclature?
The foul. Force user with lightsabers.
And he takes his hand around the back of his around his back, pulls his large Bowie knife, and sticks it between the armor plates of the stormtrooper in front of him.
That's not a knife.
Keep this for close encounters.
I have a big knife.
That's a classic powered by the apocalypse item.
Yeah.
This armor is not designed for that. You slip it in one of those, that black fabric lining, and the blood sprays out,
To the void with you, imp.
tumbles to the ground.
How many stormtroopers are left?
3.
Are they together?
Sounds like a
Probably
old
the
school
2.
D&D question. Do they form a line?
Well, didn't they pull Yorick back a little bit?
They did.
Maybe the one I got was on his own.
They've regrouped. So the one that you shot was the first one that was sort of retreating.
Yeah.
The other 2, in this mere moment, they haven't noticed that Rij has taken out one of
Okay.
them, and they're still retreating.
Okay, well, that's where Karn's probably going anyway.
Yes,
So
she's advancing
I'm-
with Jensen.
I'm gonna go ahead of her, and I'm gonna attack these two stormtroopers that are trying to
Okay.
pull Yorick to safety.
What are the tags of your lightsaber?
My lightsabers are
Evil.
two harm, armor pierce, hand, and area.
Okay. Give me your use your lightsaber move.
I
right.
assume it's rugged.
yeah.
Oop, failed. I got a 6er.
You have a +1 hold, right?
Yeah.
Do I?
Yeah.
From the
Oh, shit, that makes us
Fire
suppression.
suppression.
You're
So-
wading through the
Distraction.
fucking smoke.
Yep.
Classic.
So a 7. Okay.
You turn them off for a second so they can't see you coming.
Yeah.
Okay, choose one.
I think I'm gonna suffer a little harm in return.
Okay.
Always wise in the system.
You take this sort of aggressive step and then pull up your lightsabers. A couple of bolts come out. You deflect them both with a clean deflection, and both lightsabers come around and you cut two of them, red and black streaks across their white armor, and they fall to the ground. Yorick is on the ground fiddling with some sort of data pad, some sort of device. One stormtrooper, he's sort of shaking. You can imagine, again, you're close enough that you can almost see through that visor, and you just see a young clone, their eyes wide. Just for a moment, you feel the tension as he grips that blaster tightly, ready to squeeze that trigger.
I love this scene. The two stormtroopers are in front of York. He's on the ground, like fiddling. He only sees the back of the stormtroopers, and they get
Flash of
cut in
red.
half. And then he steps through the foam, like with the lightsabers out.
One stormtrooper, Yorick. Zeta, what the heck are you doing in the hallway?
Zeta returns to the bridge doors. Kind of steels himself.
It's quieter now. You feel this. And it brings you discomfort.
He reaches up for the door panel access, pulls out the blaster from underneath his shoulder holster, and then opens the doors.
You open the doors. You see it's just pouring out. This foam fire suppressant,
Particulate.
particulate smoke. It's grainy. You see Imperial Navy personnel in rhymes standing by a console. You see Rij, blaster raised. You see Karn and Jensen moving towards the front. You see San back to you, backlit, illuminated around him like this halo of red that is
Good guy
even,
stuff.
even more visible in this mist and smoke. A stormtrooper is slowly, carefully backing up, looking behind him at the man scrambling behind him. The stormtrooper drops his blaster rifle. Everything becomes quiet for a moment.
Is that all of them?
You hear, you kind of cut across your comm. Sen, his data pad now.
The lightsabers go away. Put them on my belt. What is Karn doing?
Karn is walking up behind you, and you see Yorick. This data pad sort of falls out of his hands, and he raises his hand. No. You think the Empire dies with me? You think the Empire dies with me? It lives in all of you. Look what you've done. Look what you... And you see Karn, her blaster pistol raised, smoke rising out of it, even though there's no combustion. And she looks, she has this look on her face. Her teeth are bared and gritted. She's staring daggers at Yorick. See flashes just in her mind. A desert planet. People running into their homes. Stormtroopers moving in squads through the street. We see another individual in Imperial army shouting, pointing, Karn hearing the orders, commanding a couple of stormtroopers and following them with blasters. She turns, she goes, "We are not the Empire."
Rhymes reaches down as everything kind of goes to a still. He sees one of these cowering bridge officers. He reaches down with a gloved hand, grabs one of them by the chest and pulls him up, looks at his chest and says, "Petty Officer Beckard, turn on the 1MC. Your captain needs to address the crew." And he gestures over to Karn.
"Yes, sir. Yes, Captain." Karn steps up. She looks around. It's still difficult to see in here, but she's regarding the room as if she can see everything going on. She looks at all these stations as if there were people working at them. She says, "We are not the Empire. The Emperor is dead, and we are alone. We are alone at the edge of the galaxy. There is no greater threat to our lives, to our safety, to our future than the lies and the poison of the Empire. We want peace. We want order. We want a way of life free from pirates, from huts, from mercenaries, from warlords." She spits on the ground. "Today is a day where you can decide for yourself. Any aboard this ship who wish to remain and work towards something better, something self-reliant, you'll be permitted to stay on board and serve this vessel and the people on it. Any who wish to cling to the lies of the Empire will be left behind. The time of the Empire is over. What comes out of it is up to you." She turns and looks at Beckard. "Turn it off."
Rhymes lights up another death stick. "Here, here."
Zeta, that door to the turbo lift just starts to sort of crank open, and people walk out. They're sort of confused. They're looking into the bridge. They look at you. They drop their blasters on the ground. Karn looks around. "Thank you all. Rhymes, go to detention and get our men."
"Yes, sir." As he's walking out, he walks past San and he kind of pauses and he looks and he says, "I haven't seen those for 25 years. Fought alongside 2 Jedi Knights. It's Pimple Face 19 and Tritani 3. He just kind of shakes his head and keeps walking.
Beckard.
Gain 1 XP for telling a war story.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Beckard, get those TIE fighters on comms and get them back here. If they're still alive, that is.
Beckard looks at Rhymes for a minute, or for a moment. Yes, sir. He starts punching away.
Cruel smile comes across Rege's face.
Are you ops?
Yes.
Contact your medical bay. Tell them there's wounded up here.
Right away.
Rege has like a blaster, like mark across his left arm.
San is going to tend to the wounded. Any of the stormtroopers that are still alive. I think that's all we shot.
Sure.
So if any of them are still alive, he's going to try to stabilize them. There's probably med packs on the bridge, I assume.
Yeah, emergency kits.
Yeah, some of the crew might have been wounded by shrapnel or stray shots.
Yeah, as that fire suppression system is being evacuated, you see people are beginning to stand up, helping others to their feet, dragging others into open areas. Karn walks over to that data pad that Yorick was fiddling with and picks it up. She looks at it and she walks over to San.
I'm like taking off a stormtrooper's helmet. What is it?
I'm guessing it's his data pad. I don't know if everything will be on this. Any of the communications, any of the sensor readings, they'll all be on here.
I pass it on to Zeta.
Zeta's kind of waded through the room and all the fire suppression material, and he had walked up and caught the tail end of the conversation. He takes the data pad in one hand and then looks down at one of the consoles on the bridge and says, I would like to lock the munitions hold until we are sure that your men have reached it.
Do it.
That one stormtrooper who surrendered.
Yeah.
I say, you have medical training. Come over here. Help me.
I have medical training. I'll follow you.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't.
They're weak-minded.
I wasn't even trying. The Emperor made this too easy.
Rij goes over to a comm station, picks up communication, little handheld. Wandering Star, this is Guillotine. You can stand down, head to dock. We captured her. Oh, Caldo, you owe me 1,000 credits. They were red.
I know it.
Well, if you knew it, why'd you say blue and green?
Zeta, you have this data pad in your hand and you're scrolling through some recent communications. You find that high security direct transmission.
Zeta is standing at the kind of viewport in the bridge with the data pad in hand.
After some time, Rhymes comes back up on to the bridge, reports back into Karn, lets her know that the detention cells have been empty. Crews are reporting to their posts, and the ship is in hand. He made a stop at his private quarters on the way, and he walks over to Rij. He reaches into a pocket, pulls out this kind of nice ornate pack of death sticks. Says, Corellian greens. I save them for after a battle.
Don't mind if I do. And grabs one out, lights both of them. Haven't had a Corellian in ages. The Imperials brought them.
Good for something.
They certainly get goods from one side of the galaxy to another, that's for sure.
Breathes it in, looks around the fucking battle-marked bridge.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
You see at some point some of the maintenance droids come through and begin cleaning the fire suppression system material up.
That's Andy.
Zeta has a way with droids.
Zeta's holding this data pad and moves over to the command chair where there's one of those hollow projectors. We see Zeta plug in the data pad and an image appears, a holographic image of an individual. What do they look like, Dan?
He looks like Jared Leto.
We zoom out from the holographic projection. We're no longer on the bridge of the Guillotine, but a private chamber. We see Yorick standing, facing the projection, his hands folded behind him. Dudori 6, are you certain?
Quite certain, Yorick. The energy signature is undeniably what we are looking for.
Yorick nods. We will prepare for our departure immediately.
Good. Contact me when you reach the system. I will send support when I can.
Thank you, Mr. Orm. That's it. Done.
We won!
for listening to this episode of Wings of Kani. Intro and outro music by Galactic Empire. Check them out at Galactic Empire Official on social media. Our Nasty Graham theme music by A Wilhelm Scream. Dramatic voiceover by Liv. Check her out at Musings of a Polyhedron on Substack. Check us out on nastygrahampod.com. You can get full bios of all the cast. You can get all the links to our social media, links to the feed with all of our back content. So head on over, check out the Nastygram Lounge on Facebook, chat with us, and tell us your favorite Force powers.
That's nasty.
Two squads of stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers.
That's a keeper. Nice dramatic moment there.
A couple of buds.